G'day, this is Michael Gregory, founder of TrueQuit, and I'm here with Gabrielle Kilborn, who actually, I think it's nearly 2 years in a few days since she stopped smoking with the TrueQuit program. And there's an interesting story as to how we came to be doing this interview, which Gabrielle related to me the other day. I think everyone would be interested in that.
Okay. I just happened to be at the supermarket and was waiting at the counter to buy a newspaper, and the newspapers are sold at the counter where the cigarettes are sold. And there was a lady there purchasing her cigarettes, and she bought 3 or 4 packs, and I saw it ring up on the register, $140. Oh my God, so I'm so glad I gave up smoking. And she said, I wish I could give up smoking. And I said, well, we had a little bit of a banter and chat or whatever. And then she did say to me, how did you give it up? And so I just did a brief description of what I'd done and mentioned the program. And I said to her, do you have an email address? If you have an email address, I will send you a link to the website and you can go and have a look for yourself and make up your own mind. So she did. She gave me her email address. In the meantime, I actually rang the TrueQuit people. I initially thought I was ringing you, but I got on to Peter. And I explained that I had run into this lady, and she was in a situation where she really wanted to give up smoking because she had just taken over full custody of looking after her daughter's 4 children, age, I think she said between about 10 and 2. And she didn't like smoking in front of the children, but certainly just being able to quit like that is very difficult. And so I mentioned that to Peter, and then he said, well, if we don't do the sessions in Shell Harbour anymore. Look, if ever there was going to be a person that needed it, she really wants to stop for her children. And I said, I don't know that she will actually take on the program, but at least I've given her the link to have a look, and it would be nice to know that if she makes that decision, that somebody is here to help her. Anyway, he said, leave it with me and I'll talk to Michael. And then he rang me back and said, because you live reasonably close to this area, look, Michael has said if she decides,
we'll just work something out.
Yeah, if she's decided, then he would do a session at home for her. So that's how we ended up talking again after all this time.
That's right. And then we're talking with Gabrielle. She related to me her situation, what it was like before you actually quit, and quite an incredible story. So I really want to share that with you. So what was your situation before you came across TrueQuit? What was be interesting to know what your job is or was.
Well, I started smoking when I was 20, and over a long period of time, and in sort of fairly nondescript type employment in those sort of times, I just continued smoking. Then I started doing psychiatric smoking, and the smoking got even worse because...
Psychiatric smoking?
So sorry, psychiatric nursing, that's right. You had to pick me up on that.
No, I just thought it was funny.
It was funny, yeah, psychiatric. Well, it is psychiatric smoking.
Yeah, it is.
It's
that's
absolutely
right.
nuts, yeah.
That's right. All smoking is psychiatric smoking.
That's right. And so over the years, I have tried basically everything. In particular, I tried hypnotherapy years ago. Now, no reflection on the hypnotherapist, because this gentleman really had an excellent track record for people quitting smoking. Unfortunately, I'm a very strong-willed person. I kind of felt that hypnotherapy was definitely not going to work for me. I couldn't relax if I tried. I'm just one of those really hyper go type.
Right.
So I thought, this is going to be a real challenge for him, and it was. I did a few group sessions and then private sessions, and credit to him, after we were getting absolutely nowhere, he basically said to me, I'm wasting your money and you're wasting my time. This is not going to work.
Well,
So
kudos for professionalism.
Absolutely, a true professional. So I sort of gave up the concept of giving up them for a while. But over the years, when I was 40, I went back to university and started studying nursing again. And over a period of time, I sort of worked my way up through the ranks until I got to one of the sort of upper echelon nursing clinical nurse consultant, which means you're a specialist in your area of practice, right?
What did you specialise in?
I specialised in cardiopulmonary resuscitation and medical emergencies.
And so did that give you real insight as to the damage that smoking can do?
Well, I already knew, even when I was doing general nursing before I ever got to the clinical nurse consultant level, what sort of damage it was doing. But I was reminded of it on a daily basis at the hospital because my office was situated in the cardiology department, and my cardiology colleagues were always giving me every day a bad time about Gabby, when you know, stop smoking, Gabby, when you know, stop smoking. And I have to say, I did feel like a bit of a hypocrite occasionally, because I used to, if we had patients that had undergone a cardiac arrest, whether it was in hospital or out of hospital, I used to interview them, once they had recovered and whatever, because we were doing research on the impacts and effects that can have on you. I mean,
right.
It's been shown that a lot of people get short-term memory loss. Some have longer-term memory loss, and
Yep.
of those that survive. And so I used to feel a bit hypocritical when I would say to them, "Do you smoke?" And then I would have to say, just to clear my own conscience, unfortunately so do I, but I'm trying really hard to quit.
Oh, that must have felt awful.
It did, yeah. It made me look like a total hypocrite, and I used to say that, really hypocritical.
Well, at least you're
of
honest
me to
about
tell
it.
you not
Yeah.
to smoke, but I'm trying. And that's all I can say. Is
You
I'm
must have
trying.
been trying hard. I mean, you said you're quite a strong-willed person.
I am.
So did you try willpower?
I did try willpower, and it was of absolutely no use whatsoever.
So even
And
though
I
you're
am-
very strong-willed,
Yeah.
it didn't work.
No, definitely not. Which is amazing, because there are so many other things I've done that people never thought I would achieve that did with my will, with my strength of willpower. But anyway, so I guess I've tried
See,
just
I
about.
might just jump in there.
Yeah.
So that's not surprising to me that you say that even though you're a strong-willed person, willpower didn't work. The reason why it's not surprising to me is because I know that willpower does not affect the cravings,
No, it doesn't.
right?
That's
And
just
and
it.
we always think that that's a way to quit smoking, and that's the only way almost. In fact, most methods require some element of willpower for them to succeed. But we know now that willpower doesn't affect the cravings.
No, it
The
doesn't.
cravings still happen while you're trying willpower.
Yep.
So you've got to use some other method to get rid of the cravings, which
And of course, back then, it was like the Champix and all the other chewing gums and everything else that they give you. I don't think there's a method that I hadn't tried.
so you also had access to free programs at the hospital, didn't you?
I did, yes. They did run quit smoking. Well, they ran programs for patients as well, but they also ran them for the staff. And I attended numerous programs.
I think you said at one stage you probably tried programs 3 times a year.
Well, sometimes even more. And I don't think, I think the longest I lasted was, because I'd go in the morning and you'd have to get your CO2 levels,
Oh yeah.
because with smoking you get build-up of carbon dioxide in your lungs, and you'd have to go in every morning and get your levels checked. So I managed to survive for 3 days, and then I just thought,
Right.
So,
Was that
no, it didn't
counselling?
work.
Was it nicotine replacement or
Well,
combination?
yeah, certainly nicotine replacement was available,
Yeah.
if that's what you wanted, the Nicorette and everything else, and counselling. Unfortunately, it just didn't work for me. So I just basically got to the point where I thought, well, that's it. I'm just going to be a smoker for the rest of my life. So I resigned myself to the fact that I would be a smoker for the rest of my life.
So you must have got to a point where you felt it was quite a hopeless
It was
situation.
Yeah, I
And-
literally just thought there is nothing I can do about it. I mean, you'd think, being in my situation and having to counsel patients who have gone through cardiac arrests and all sorts of other
Because
things.
of smoking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And with my, as I said, with my cardiology colleagues giving me heaps every day about the fact that I'm a smoker, and here I am
Yeah.
teaching people don't smoke. So I just thought, well, yeah, that's it. I'm going to be a smoker for life. I was amazed actually that my brother, who was 10 times heavier smoker than me, gave it up just with willpower. It worked for him. It didn't work for me.
But then I think you mentioned that while we were coming down here, that he then took it up again.
He did, after 3 years.
So-
he had a very bad period where there was a very severe and prolonged illness with a family member, and I think that may have had a lot to do with it.
See, again, that doesn't surprise me as well, because if you do stop smoking and you're using willpower to do that, you have to keep using willpower. And when there's a strong emotional event in your life, which is very common, then that willpower is not enough. And really, if you look at it from a different perspective, the way that we understand it through TrueQuit, unless you eliminate the dismantle the 4 stages of the mental process, so that you don't actually get cravings, you're still going to have to use willpower forever.
Yeah.
And that's why people relapse, even though they've got no nicotine in their body. And I feel actually, I'm very happy.
I understand that now, but I didn't.
Yeah, and as a nurse, it just seems so obvious now, but it's just not common knowledge.
No.
That you actually have to stop the cravings. So.
And all your chewing gums and things don't stop the cravings. They
No.
They may sort of put a hold on them for 30 minutes or something, but then the minute that wears off, you're back where you started.
Well, it's just a different delivery system, delivering nicotine in a different way, keep the cycle going.
Exactly.
So tell me, what was your mindset? You said you resigned yourself to being a smoker for the rest of your life. You tried all the methods that you came across. So when you came across TrueQuit, what was your mindset?
Accidentally. Because I wasn't looking for a PIT program. As I said, I retired from nursing 3 years ago and moved down here, and I was just doing something on the computer, don't know what it was, probably sending emails or whatever, and I fell across TrueQuit. And I thought, another one.
So can I detect, and I like you were cynical?
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Skeptical?
Totally, 100%, 150%.
Because coming from a very professional point of view,
Yeah.
who's had also a lot of life experience,
Yeah.
something that's going to work.
Yeah, and the only thing that was different about it was the actual treatment methodology, which I'd not heard of before. And so I was interested in finding out, well, hang on, I don't know about this particular modality of treatment. Maybe I need to have a look at it.
And the technique?
The technique, it was nothing I'd ever heard of before. So
Yeah.
I thought, well, probably not going to work because nothing else did, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. And then I can at least say to myself, well, yes, you're still smoking, but you did try it.
So can I ask, if you're very skeptical and cynical and educated, what made the difference in deciding that TrueQuit was worthy of you, risking failure again?
I think all the lead-up educational material that was involved, the access to the treatment type program,
The
really,
pre-appointment videos and
that's exactly right. It made a lot of sense.
right.
I still didn't know if it was going to work, and I probably, in hindsight, thought it won't. But I just thought, well, it's different. It's something I haven't tried, and I can't say I tried if I
From a
didn't try
professional
everything. Yeah.
point of view, like a physiological point of view, knowing anatomy and physiology and all of, did it make sense from that point of view?
It did, and it was the physiology and pathophysiology behind the treatment modality that made me think, well, this is not a scam type thing. These people actually do know what they're talking about.
Right.
The way they're describing the effects on the body makes an awful lot of sense. And so, just because I am who I am, I have to do it to say, even if it doesn't work, I did try. I always like people to say, I did try. So anyway, I rang up and I made the appointment. And I did all the things they tell you not to do. They tell you to get rid of all your cigarettes. I didn't. No. And I thought, I know me better than they know me.
I know better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I made sure when I went to the appointment, I had a cigarette left in the car. I didn't
you have
have
one?
a cigarette.
Did you have a cigarette before you went in?
Absolutely, as I'm going out
Or
the door.
two?
Yes. No. Just I had one as I was going out the door, and I took a cigarette with me and left it in the car.
That's the naughty bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not
It
meant
was
to
also,
do that.
the other naughty bit was the fact that I had half a packet of cigarettes at home, and I thought, no, I'm not throwing them out, because that'll make me really use my willpower. If I come home and they're still there, then I can go.
So you thought that that would help you use your willpower.
I did.
But in hindsight,
Either that, or if it failed, I wouldn't have to go running to the shop straight away because there'd already be some there.
so can I ask, did you need to use willpower with the TrueQuit program?
I don't think so. I don't consciously remember thinking to myself, not until about day 2 or 3. I don't remember in the first few days consciously thinking, oh, I really need a cigarette, or I really want a cigarette, or I'd like a cigarette. But about day 3 or 4 or something, I didn't actually have a craving for a cigarette, but I was thinking a lot about smoking.
You're having the thought of smoking in your mind a lot, and that was bothering you?
It was bothering me, and I rang you.
That's right.
Because you did say ring if there's an issue.
So you rang for support.
I did.
Yeah, which is actually what you're meant to do. Support is actually a really important part of the program, because if there's an issue like that, it's simply a matter of clarifying and fine-tuning what you're doing. And so was that your experience? Like what happened with the...
Absolutely. In fact, I hadn't thought about initially using the support system, because I just thought once I walk out of there, that's it. I don't really want to be involved anymore. Yeah, exactly. But then I thought, look, I've gone this far, and all I'm doing at the moment is thinking about smoking. I'm not actually getting that craving about... So I did ring. And it was just a case of having a voice rather than text or something, reinforcing the methodology for getting rid of that craving and that, not the craving, getting rid of the thought process of smoking.
So
and
we would have gone through the technique.
Yes,
and
well, that's what you did. You reinforced. Have you done the technique? And I went, a couple of times. We'll do it again.
Do it properly.
Do it,
and we did it properly.
Yeah.
And also would have reinforced that the thought of smoking in your mind is not something that you need to get rid of.
Yep.
Right, because there is a natural fight or flight reaction to that thought. And of course we now through the program you've understood how that fight or flight reaction operates.
Absolutely.
But we were just able to reinforce that, and you found that you didn't need to get rid of the thought because the craving wasn't there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is I didn't ever have to contact you for support again. So here I am, like 2-year anniversary coming up in a couple of days, and I still can't believe that that I don't smoke, and I don't miss it at all. My daughter smokes, which comes to mind. I mean, she smokes outside or whatever, but I don't even think about smoking. My brother is a very strong-willed person, and as I said, had given up just willpower, but the poor thing, he did.
He relapsed again.
Yeah, he did. They had fairly stressful time in his life there, and the willpower just let go.
You mentioned something interesting there, that your daughter smokes.
Yeah.
So she's seen you through all of this journey.
She keeps telling me how wonderful I am.
Yeah,
and I keep telling her try it.
But this is not a new thing.
No.
You know, there are people who their best friend who smoked 2 packets a day for 20 years gave them the telephone number or the website, and it took them a year to contact us. You know, you'd think that what more do you need?
She is her mother's daughter, and she's very strong-willed.
We have to be careful what we say here.
Yeah, and she keeps telling me, in my time.
Yeah.
You did it in your time, I'll do it in my time.
You know what over the years I've learned, that there's a huge amount of fear involved. Because of that fight or flight reaction, the very thought of not smoking brings up this anxious feeling, this kind of fear that it's not going to be okay, and I can't envisage how it will be okay if I don't smoke. So there's this constant putting off of. But was that kind of something that you experienced? This
Absolutely. As I said to you, like the fact that I kept that half pack of cigarettes there, that was like, at least if it's not working, they're there and I've got them. I would never go to bed at night if there were no cigarettes in the house.
Yeah.
I would drive to a 7-Eleven at 1 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
if that was the time I was going to bed, to make sure that I had a big pack of cigarettes in the house the next morning to have with my tea and coffee and things. Because the thought of waking up in the morning and not being able to light up a cigarette was, to me, terrifying.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's like you're trapped in this situation where if you don't have them, or you think of not smoking, there's this kind of, aura of terror around you. But then in hindsight, you found TrueQuit, and then in hindsight, once you've consumed that information and that understanding, do you think that like if somebody was putting it off, say, do you think that they need to put it off, or is it just a process of learning, or what would you say to that?
No, I don't think they need to put it off. It's just that I guess most people make up their own minds. What I think is irrelevant. All I can do is give them the benefit of telling them how it was for me.
Yeah.
And then it's up to them to make a decision. You have to make that decision yourself.
Absolutely. One of the things that we have learnt over the years is that in order to make that decision, you have to have the right information, that pre-information that we were talking about.
That was the key.
Yeah,
It really was
exactly.
the key. Yeah.
Exactly. So in other words, when you went into investigating, you had that kind of fear of quitting. You then looked at that education, and that made the difference to enable you to make the decision that, this makes sense.
So much of it made sense to me as a nurse that other people may not have picked up on it. The fact that it was so spot on with the pathophysiology and the physiology of how the body and the brain work in response to various treatments and things, that I just thought, I have to give it a try.
Yeah.
But even when I was in having the session with you, and I remember you saying, now think about that, and I go, oh no, it's another one of those, and you wake up in the morning and you imagine yourself, it's all misty outside and you're walking through the grass and you're all relaxed with the dew in between your because they tried to teach us in the intensive.
But we don't do that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you just want to
but
make
you see,
it clear.
that's what I thought it was going to be.
Oh, you thought it was going to be one of those go to a happy place.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not, yeah.
Yeah, no, not at all. It was the best thing I'd ever done. It really was. But I have to say, when I walked out, I really didn't think I was going to be a non-smoker. Even when the cigarettes in the car, and I said, no, I don't feel like it, I still thought, well, because there's another pack at home and I can have whatever I like. But it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I eventually did. I actually left that half pack in my place for a whole year. God knows what it would have tasted like if I'd tried them. They would have been so stale. But after 12 months, I celebrated by going out to the garbage bin. I did. I actually went out to the garbage bin and threw them in the garbage bin. Yay! Happy birthday! It's the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
And since then, I've always had the worst cough. People used to go, oh my God, I really did have a dreadful, dreadful cough. And I'd be walking around the hospital I worked at, cough, and it was that dreadful wet cough.
Yeah.
People commented on it repeatedly, even people I didn't know in the hospital. If I'm standing in the coffee shop and there's patients, visitors there, they go, oh my gosh, you have a terrible cough. I don't have a cough at all. I can't remember the last time I coughed.
Yeah, you have a very clear, lovely voice.
I do.
Now.
I have incredibly clear lungs. I had repeat x-rays done because I just wanted to see what they were like. I actually had gone to see a respiratory specialist who looked after my stepfather prior to him dying. He died of emphysema, dreadful emphysema. Just watching him die was dreadful. For years and years and years, he literally couldn't breathe. And this man just walked on and on and on. And his specialist used to say to me, Gabby, you're supposed to be dead years ago. He just is such a strong-willed person. He goes, right, I got it. Yeah, so it's just amazing. I have a new puppy that's 6 months old, and the estate that I moved into over in Flinders, the Flinders Seacrest estate, is hills, constant hills, and we go out walking, and I'm running up hills with this 6-month-old puppy. I couldn't run up 3 steps a couple of years ago.
So you've
Nothing.
recovered.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Had
It is
a chest
amazing.
X-ray done, and I have mild imperfections, but nothing like it used to be. It
Right.
used to be
So your
white
lungs have actually healed them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've become,
A
they've healed themselves.
vast recovery. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, when I took my original, I had X-rays done, probably about chest X-rays done about 3 months before I came down here, because I'd had a really bad bout of influenza, and I brought them down, and I showed them to the GP down here compared to my current one, and he just couldn't believe the difference.
So they were really bad before you
Terrible.
quit smoking,
Absolutely
and then now
dreadful.
they've
Yeah.
improved enormously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was heading down the really bad emphysema path. I had the beginnings of emphysema.
Yeah.
Now I have really good lungs.
I'm so happy for you.
I'm really happy for me, because now that I'm retired, I kind of like to live a lot longer and enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's right. Now with your new puppy.
Yeah, I know. I'm down here every morning, running up and down with the dog, and I love it. It's just wonderful.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for.
No, I want to say thank you to you. You saved my life, literally.
Well, I'm really pleased for you. It's really, deep happiness that, you've actually done this, and I can see how well you are from it.
I am.
And I really hope that us sharing this story will inspire perhaps you or other people to look a little further. Don't be scared of the feeling that of worry or fear of quitting. Just take one step at a time. Get a little bit of education, just as Gabby has said, and that information then enables you to take the next step, and you get more information, and then you take the next step and you realise actually this could be something that makes a whole lot of sense.
And
So
it really does make a lot of sense.
yeah, so I really thank you again for coming out, and it's been a pleasure.
Michael, it's really good to see you again.
Yeah.
And I just hope that some people, it does help. I mean, sometimes listening to other people's stories is what it takes to make you think about doing it.
Yeah, that's right. One thing I will mention is that if you do want more information straight away, you can go to our website, TrueQuit.com, and there's a button that says free guide and videos. You can click on that, register, you can get some free videos sent straight away, and you can begin that journey. And we really look forward to helping you as well.